I'm going to ask this question to all three of you because there is no definite answer to this. I just want to know your guys' comfort level in filing AOS for someone who's visiting on a B-1, B-2 visa with all the disclosures, obviously. So starting with you, Nima, since you were addressing this topic, is it okay for people to travel on a B-1, B-2 visitor visa, change their mind later on, and apply for AOS as they do under other green card categories?
So let me give you the law and let me give you the opinion, my opinion, because they're not always lined up. I think USCIS in general should listen to me more, but you know they don't call anymore. They don't check in on me. The rule had historically been the 90-day rule. This is a rule that is still present at NBC, but it is not at USCIS. The 90-day rule says if you enter on a non-immigrant visa, F1, B1, B2, TN, E2, you're coming in for a non-immigrant limited purpose to handle whatever you need to handle in the United States, and then you have an intent to leave. If you enter the United States and in less than 90 days, you pursue a change of status, an adjustment of status to the green card, we are going to assume that you lied to us at the port of entry about your reason for entry. And as a result, we're going to deny the change of status, revoke your visa, kick you out of the United States. However, if 90 days have passed, that is a significant amount of time. Maybe you came to the United States, you were presented with a job opportunity, maybe you fell in love with a US citizen. All sorts of things could have happened that requires you to stay. And so since it's been a significant amount of time, we're going to allow you to change the reason for your entry through the change of status or an adjustment of status. So that rule is still present in NBC. USCIS got rid of that rule. USCIS is now working, well, we're going to look at the facts. We're going to look at the facts surrounding your time of entry to determine if you actually violated your visa status. You lied to us when you entered the United States. What would those facts look like? Did you enter the United States and then we filed an EB5 application for you 5 days later? Okay, maybe that is violating the terms of the visa, right? We filed an adjustment of status along with that EB5 5 days later. Certainly not enough time has passed, right? So my opinion is, yes, of course, we have these rules. We have the so-called 90-day rule. I think we defer to, if you have a plan on entering the United States, and after you've been in the United States for 90 so days, you find out about the EB5 program, you consult a regional center, post 90 days, you start signing investment contracts, you send the wire and you move forward. We are comfortable with doing that. I think if you enter the United States and then 2-3 days later, you start signing investment documents, might start sending wires to the project for the investment, start working with your attorney on preparing. I think that if USCIS wanted to question your intent when you entered, there is evidence there for them to do that. But you know, the other thing is USCIS is poorly staffed. Their budget does not call for this forensic analysis. I think the idea of them going in and denying people that have made significant investments in the United States to create jobs is very unlikely. But of course, we always want to be cautious. So that was a big word soup I just put out there. But I think for me in general, if you're looking at the EB5 program on a tourist visa post 90 days of entry, we would be comfortable moving forward.
Thanks, Nima. Rohit, your thoughts on the same?
I agree with 1.0.
Anu?
Yeah, I have similar thoughts on that as well. The bigger issue is your intent upon entry. We recently had someone who called us and said, hey, I'm interested in doing the EB5 program. And I said, fantastic. And as part of the initial conversation, like, where are you currently? What's your immigration status in the US? They're like, I'm currently in India. I'll be in the US tomorrow on a B1, B2. And I said, fantastic. Call me after 90 days after you've entered the United States. I'll talk to you then. I do not want to tell people to come into the US on a B1, B2 expecting to file for your green card in the US. There's a lot of things that can happen at the border. You can be stopped and heavily questioned at the border. If someone's heavily questioned at the border, do I want them to turn around and sign documents or file an EB5 even after 90 days? Maybe, depends on how they were questioned at the border, what type of questions they were asked. So it's not a conversation I want to have with anyone prior to entry. It's also not a conversation I want to have with anyone immediately after entry either. If you came into the US, you had a rough time at the border, you don't want to go through that process again, something changed with your family, you want a basis to stay in the US, that's perfectly fine, change of circumstances. But if you show up at the border with all of your documents, with your outfits for 4 different seasons and all your pots and pans because you're planning on filing for an EB5, I have a huge problem with that.
Noted. Thanks, Anu.